In this section of the course, we're going to focus on the baseline knowledge that you need to understand before we can start digging into all of the technical pieces of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is hard. There's always going to be a friction that exists between security and convenience. Think about it at your house. When you set up your wireless network, what kind of password did you use? Did you use a short password like puppy or baseball? Or did you use something that was much longer and more complicated and difficult to remember? Well, if you had a long, hard, and complicated password, your network is going to be much more secure. But it's also much less convenient. Think about it. If your friend comes over and says, "Can I connect to your Wi-Fi?" You've got to go type in this long, complicated password each time. And that's just one example of the challenge that we have between security and convenience. As people, we want convenience. But when we have convenience, we lose out on security. To increase security, we have to make things a bit more challenging and more difficult. But again, that takes away from convenience. And this is the balance that we're always dealing with inside our organizations. As organizations have fought with this challenge, there are things that have won out in this convenience sector that have given us less security. And as we look at that, that's one of the reasons why we continue to have cyber attacks and data breaches to this day. Just last year, there was $1.3 million spent per data breach by major companies. This is an amazing fact and an astounding figure, but the reason is because we have this trade-off. We have to make things easy for our users to use them on a daily basis, but challenging enough that hackers can't get in. Now, in this section of the course, we're going to talk about those foundations. Things like the CIA triad, the triple A's of security, and much more. But before we do that, we have to define two terms. The first is information security. Information security is the act of protecting data and information from unauthorized access, unlawful modification, and disruption, disclosure, and corruption and destruction. Simply put, when we talk about information security, we're talking about the data that the systems are holding, not the systems themselves. Which brings us to our second definition. Information system security. Information system security is the act of protecting the systems that hold and process our critical data. That can be a computer, a server, a network device, or even your smartphone. If we're talking about protecting the data itself, it's information security. But if we're talking about the devices that hold the data, then we're talking about information system security. Now, as we go through the rest of Section 1, we're going to cover a lot of different topics. We're not going to cover them in depth, though. We're just going to scratch the surface here in Section 1. We'll return to them in depth in Sections 2, 3, 4, and beyond as we go and get into the level of detail that you'll need to be successful in this class and on the certification exam.